Hey there, welcome to C&T Collectibles. I am C. Hope you are doing very well. Training camps are back in session. Hard Knocks is on the air, and I've written out hundreds of dollars worth of checks to fantasy football donations. So that must mean football is back in session here. So we're going to bring back 3 and out. So this is where we look at the top 3 risers and 1 punt in the world of card ladder football cards. And then we'll throw in a little bit of overtime. And then we also want to look at the top 5 leaders from 2020 quarterbacks in carried air yards or completed air yards. So the average, everybody can throw it down the field, but who's the best at it? Should they? So we'll start it off with a little Tom Brady chart action here. This goes back to 2004. And these boxes here represent the NFL season. And so I've said this, and other people have said it as well: is buy your cards in the preseason hype, and then sell it during the season, and then buy back in the hype the next year. But you can see sometimes that that doesn't work. And so one of the things I want to just kind of point out is, or just kind of lend my thoughts to. I've been doing this for a long time. As far as investing, is that the market is going to do the thing to frustrate the maximum number of participants. So as far as making things super easy, buy in the preseason and sell when the season gets started, works until it doesn't. And you can see examples here where buying in the season, it worked, and then selling after the season, sure, that worked as well, but also it worked, and then after the season it continued to work. And so these things work until they don't. And here's a little index of a few players here: Josh Allen, Mahomes, Kyler Murray, and Lamar Jackson. Some new players here, and you can see that a couple of preseasons ago, during the season, they did just fine, and then after season they continued to climb upwards. And then you had last year where you buy the preseason hype, and then they did decline. And so again, I think you can find examples both ways. So don't get too married to one thought or another here. Try and just keep an open mind, be flexible, and manage your risk appropriately. All right, our number 3 riser for the week is Kyler Murray's 2019 select, up 86%. You had your upwards compression, a breakdown, and then the downtrend takes you back down an area of where there's been some buying in the past year, and then an absolute rip out of the range here back up to this resistance area here. So anything up 86% in 1 week, probably want to leave it alone, let it come back into this area before you do much with it. Again, one person thinks this is the price. Well, a couple of people think this is the price, but there's a lot more people in here, and I think if you're patient, you get a better opportunity there. Patrick Mahomes, your number 2 riser, up 100%, and so he's in the compression that he's been in for quite a while here. We've looked at them in the past, and there just hasn't been a whole lot of movement here, a lot of nothing. This is pretty good sideways action here with a lot of extremes in between. So you do have a lot of volatile movement here, but again, up 100% in a week is a little much here, and so it's getting close to the top end of this range. And so one day you run out of room and break one way or another, and we'll have some action on Patrick Mahomes. But until that happens, a lot of sideways action. Sell towards here, buy towards here, and you're closer to the top part of that range. All right. Number 1 riser, 2019 Prism Patrick Mahomes, PSA 9, up 120%. And so as it kind of tags into this area where there's been some buying in the past, it's just absolutely ripped. A couple of people are getting a little too excited about the preseason, perhaps, and so we'll see how that works out for them. But we are getting towards the top of the range on this one here. So down in here is probably a better shot, and if you're patient, maybe you get another crack at that one as well. Our number 1 faller for the week, Lamar Jackson. Of course it is. Like one football card I bought in the past couple of years, bought the PSA 9 version, getting absolutely rocked. And really this brings it back into an area where it's visited the past few times here. So top of the range is well defined, bottom of the range is well defined, and this is an area where hopefully some buyers step in. You look at his first 3 games. I've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning again. Detroit, Kansas City, and Las Vegas. I don't remember what order, but he could be an MVP candidate after the first 3 weeks of the season if everything goes according to plan. So for our purposes, the punts or the ones that are down seem to be the most actionable, work out the best here. The ones that have gone up a lot, there's nothing you can do at that point unless you own them. Maybe consider taking some off the table. But the ones that go down a lot are the ones that are more interesting, I think. And so we'll look at a couple more of them. Tom Brady, BGS, and 9, top of the range, bottom of the range. If you're looking for this particular card, seems like a pretty decent spot to do it, unless it leaks below this. Then I never said this. I'll delete the video and we'll never speak of it again. All right, Deebo Samuel. So after his acting career in Friday and giving Craig all sorts of hard times here, Debo, his NFL career, his cards at least have gone pretty sideways. I think he's a pretty good receiver, but top of the range. Now you get into the bottom range in a pretty decent, interesting spot for Debo Samuel in his 2019 Prism. And Jordan Love, not getting a lot of love here. So we've looked at his raw Prism base, not the silver version, and we had a target of about $12-15 or something on that one. And I don't know if there's a particular multiplier that you can apply to that, if it's a 10-to-1 or something like that. In which case, if that's the case, then the silver looks pretty interesting as well. Coming to an area where people have been willing to scoop it up in the past, and if there's a 10-to-1 multiplier on the silver versus the base, then pretty fairly valued as well. So, all right, let's get into the top five leaders in 2020. This is completed air yards, and so everyone likes to take a shot now and then, but should they? And so if you look at players like Joe Flacco, he likes to throw the ball down the field. Completed air yards, 6.9 completed air yards on average, but his average intended air yards is over 10, and so he's throwing the ball down the field quite a bit. But he probably shouldn't do it as much, whereas you have a person like Matt Ryan, who is 5th in the league with 7.2 average completed air yards, and his average attempt is 8.7 yards. And so what this says is, he doesn't take a ton of shots downfield. He does take them, but more often than not, he's going to have positive completion percentage here. So he does throw down the field a little bit, and he completes a fair amount compared to his average. So he's a pretty efficient quarterback. You see a lot of sideways action on his cards. Well, buying's picking up just a little bit here. So if you're interested in that card, I don't know you're going to have a lot of volatility. You can expect too much out of it, but there you go. Ryan Tannehill is your number 4 in average completed air yards with 7.3, and he attempts intended air yards 8.4. So he does take some shots, but does a really nice job of completing those passes as well. So a lot of sideways action again out of Tannehill. So I think people are just looking for other names and some additional volatility, and you're not going to find it with him. And for stomach turning purposes, maybe that is just fine. Deshaun Watson, your number 3 player in intended carried air yards, 7.3 average, 9 intended air yards, and so again he took his shots last year and completed a decent amount of them. So for positive yards, and so really did have a terrific year. Whatever you think of him now, we're just looking at the charts and the numbers here. So pretty well defined range. You had your tops, a few tags here, and then your recent move up hit that, and now it's coming off just a little bit. So if you get another shot down here, I think you'll just have to see what happens in the preseason with them and all that jazz. But another shot down here will give you another buying opportunity. Right now, you're kind of in the middle of this range, tiny amount of support here, but maybe not much to do with that particular card at this time. Baker Mayfield, your number 2 quarterback, his intended air yards, he's averaging about 9. So again, he's taking some decent shots here. That's a high enough number, but his average what is the name here? Completed. His average completion is 7.4 yards here. So again, he's taking shots. He's having a decent completion percentage, or completion yardage. He's getting the bang for his buck on that one, basically, is what that comes down to. So like our friend Dakota says, he could have a very good year this year. So the uptrend has been broken on him, and he's coming back into this area where there's been a number of buys in the past year, so a lot of consolidation. So people that bought here and got rocked, maybe they're selling and transacting again, or the people that sold here is like, okay, I'll get back in at this point. So who knows what is going on here, but as long as it holds into this area, you could see it hopefully curl back up and make a run at those highs with more buying this time. But if it goes below here, then you want to exit that Baker Mayfield position, because it could be another couple $100 down. All right, and our number 1 player for completed air yards and versus intended air yards, Jalen Hurts. So he's Joe Flacco level almost by throwing the ball downfield, but he's getting a lot of production out of that. He throws a great deep ball, and you can see his downtrend has been broken here. Successful retest, and off you go. So if we were able to come up to this $300-400 area, where it's at right now, $279, there's decent upside in this one. So while a lot of cards are consolidating, going sideways, Jalen Hurts represents a pretty good potential opportunity here, as long as it can hold this breakout. If he gets off to a pretty decent start, if he does live up to his projections, which 10, 12, 15, something like that, between 10 and 15, then that could shoot him into that next echelon of quarterbacks, and his card prices could get even more love. So that's what I got for you. Have a great rest of the day, and we will talk to you later. Bye now.